Hey, when I was a little kid, when I was 10 years old or less, my brother and his friends gave all of the kids in the neighborhood nicknames. The nickname they gave me was Kenny Cool. And so from now on, in these little video series, these little video shorts I'm going to call, they're going to be KC Episode 1, Episode 2. The reason for this is making these short, less than 5 minute videos are going to be ways that I can recount stories. I don't have to take a lot of time to write them up. And so what I'm going to do is jump back to a story that I made, that I wrote probably 4 or 5 years ago. And it's in November of 2014. The reason I want to bring this one up is because sometimes my stories are left untold, they're left unfinished. And so if you look at this one, which was my 99th blog post, a very special article for me, where I talk about my history. If you go down into this article to learn a little bit about me, this part of it right here, my quantitative skills really begin in 5th grade, is what I want to talk about. And I talk in here about learning how to calculate an average, which I taught my first-year-old son to do today, my first grade son, and I was in 5th grade when I learned to do this, so he has a little bit of a jump on me. But anyway, I show my report cards in here, and I talk about going from a B to an A student in 5th grade. Well, later on in the article, when I'm continuing high school, there's a story here that starts right here. About 7 years ago, I learned something about myself. And if you take the time to read this, what you'll see is me talking about these standardized test scores that I found in a box that resembled a yellow cigarette. I'd never seen them before, and I haven't seen them since. So I feel like this story has been left untold. Well, here's the end of the story. This week I was going through some old records, and I found, believe it or not, some of the original copies of these standardized test reports. And I wanted to verify what I wrote here 4 years ago. It said, starting in kindergarten through 5th grade, my math scores were in the 80s. And then after 5th grade till the end of high school, my math score was pegged at 99th percentile. Okay. So this one is from, we'll start in 4th grade. I only had 4th through 7th I could find. So this one's grade 4. And if we look at it, we can see math concepts were 90, but math computation was 60. I was above average in math, but I wasn't 99th percentile. So that was in the year 1973. I was 10 years old. If we jump to 1974 April, we just turned 11. This is my 5th grade report. And we look at that one, we can see that math got pegged. Like I was telling you in the article from 5 years ago, my math scores got pegged, 98, 99th percentile. 6th grade, I dropped a little bit in some of the math, but my math computation was still 98th percentile. And finally, in our bicentennial year 1976, I was a whopping 13 years old in 7th grade. We're back to pegging everything out at 99th percentile. Pretty good. So anyway, the reason for me bringing this up is that I think that if we pay attention to our children and we look at their skills, we can see at an early age where they're going to be destined to work. And for me, nobody ever, my entire life, told me, hey, you're good at math, you should become a computational scientist. So how did I get there? And here's the interesting thing. So if that wasn't compelling enough, I even found my ACT test score. which in natural sciences I got 31, which would put you in the 95th percentile, and in math I got 27, which is 88th percentile. Now there's a story behind this one. I'll have to recount at a later date. But the interesting thing I want to tell you is in the backside of this, they do predictive analytics. They look at all of these dots represent different careers, and they give you 2 coordinates to plot yourself based on the scores of your test. And my coordinates are shown here as 65 and 43, and when you plot them, I'm pegged off on the right hand side over here, and when you look at what that represents, it's near chemical engineering, it's near math and computer science, and it's near geology. There's no way that I could have predicted that, but that's predictive analytics from the year 1980, I think. Yeah, June of 1980. I was a junior in high school. But what's interesting is my predicted education major was physical education and aerospace and aeronautical engineering. And I was very sure that I was going to do that. I thought I was going to be a pilot. And my secondary choice was fish, game, and wildlife management. Now, how was I supposed to know what I was going to do? And the other type of predictive analytics they use is this circle plot. And I fall squarely in the engineering region number 7. So when we think about why we do these national tests for our children, there's a reason, and the data that they produce is pretty good. We should pay attention to it. School counselors should pay attention to it. We should inform our kids what they're good at. Had somebody told me, hey, by the way, you're 99th percentile in math, you're pretty good, maybe I would have done something different, but maybe not, because I took enough math to failure, and that's documented in this story. So anyway, thanks for listening. I promise to keep these short, so that's probably more than I really wanted to say. Talk to you later.